All right, good morning, everyone. I think we're finally online. This is round number 4, and we are watching Adriana with 3.5 points compete against Estrella Gonzalez Macias. I hope I say it right. Welcome. So, what do we have on the menu for today? It's gonna be interesting. Apparently, they're both in a preparation or something similar. So, let's review the start of the game. Let's review the start of the game. Maybe I will have to take a short break right now. Sorry, so d4 by Adriana. We know that she plays d4, d5, c4, okay, queen's gambit, declined, knight c3, c6, which is the semi-Slav defense, and e3, knight f6, b3, and bishop d6. Both players are playing quite fast this opening, and Adriana is already showing her cards. I expected so with b3. The goal is to put the bishop on b2 and restrain black from pushing. I mean, black can push, but it will cost her that she will open the long diagonal for the dark square bishop, white dark square bishop. So that's why. Let's see how Estrella responds to that, and she moves the knight to d7 with no other thinking. We have a small delay, I think, between the game and the chessboard, but it's a very small one. I think maybe 1 minute or not even. And bishop d3 by Adriana, very logical, putting the bishop on this diagonal for later on maybe attacking her opponent. Okay. So far, so good. I think black will have in this game always like a lack of space, so she will have to find dynamics, dynamical moves. Otherwise, she will struggle with space and will not be able to compete, because right now white has a lot of space. White has good pieces. Black, what's the main issue in this position for black? I mean, two issues. I would say it's like the lack of space, and also look at this bishop. It's really bad piece. Thank you so much for the follow. Thanks. So the main issue is that this bishop is really bad. So yeah, actually I need to watch at the chat. I don't have it. All right. Let's put it like this. And yeah. So maybe here. Hey, fan control A. All right. So yeah. And Estrella eventually took on c4. Interesting choice. So I think right now what Estrella is trying to accomplish is to push e5. It's one of the key pawn breaks that she needs to achieve, especially after this knight c3. I wouldn't have played knight c3 because it hides the bishop path. But anyways, black can achieve the e5 whenever he wants now. Just needs to be calculated, but castling is also fine. Anyways, white won't be able to restrain the break apart from playing f4, but that would be weakening the e4 square, which in some cases could be problematic. There is also c5 as an option. Interesting. So both breaks c5 and e5 are possible. There is also the b file which is open right now. The bishop is unprotected, so maybe queen b6 could come with tempo, but that would probably run into rook b1 and not be so good. The queen would not be well placed. Notice that white right now obtained the b file which is open, which will hit on the b pawn. So if I were white, I would probably simply develop with knight f3, keeping the e5 square one more time guarded. That's also why I would have preferred, instead of knight c3, maybe b3, bishop b2, and knight f3 to keep the e5 square well guarded. Because right now there would be knight f3 and the knight would be on b1, and the e5 break would probably not be possible, or at least there would be more attackers than defenders. Maybe it would have been possible tactically, but not that would lose a pawn temporarily. So right now I think Estrella is weighing whether she goes for castle, short castle, or she goes for a pawn break, which would be e5 or c5, which would be a freeing pawn break. e5 to me makes more sense. Why? Because all the pieces are pointing at e5, and that would also free the bishop on the long diagonal. So to me, e5 makes a little bit more sense. I don't have the evaluation right now, or the recommendations. I could put it maybe. Oh, but it shows all the moves. Maybe I don't want that. So I can't. Yes, I can. Show best move arrow. Okay, nice. So yeah. So was short castle a good choice? Not so much. She needed, it was better for her to go for e5 now, because now after knight a3, which Adriana is probably going to play, I guess, the square is guarded one more time, and then there are maybe some tactics. I don't know why e5 is, I mean, it's still possible, but not great apparently. But not great. That was the screen turns a little bit bluer when it's not a move on the board, when it's like a variation. Oh wow, I didn't know that feature. That's a cool one. Like, at least on broadcast. I didn't know. All right, so we are at this point. I think knight a3 is a good option to restrain furthermore that push, and that's pretty much it. Maybe knight c3 was necessary because of queen a5 check, but still here I would develop with knight bd2 and not knight c3, because knight c3 a little bit hinders at the bishop scope. So that's why. But so far so good. White is obviously better because of the space advantage. Because of many things here. But apparently knight a3 is the only move to keep a good share of an advantage. All the rest is okay, not great. Interesting. I wonder what Adriana is thinking about because she rushed the first moves, but now she's thinking while maybe about c5, but c5 would give up the d5 square, so I don't like it. c5, maybe f3, e4, an expansion in the center, but it's a little bit too early. I think knight f3 makes a lot of sense, but that would maybe she's afraid to exchange, like something like knight f3, e5, castle, maybe something like that. I don't know. Maybe here taking doesn't seem good, right? Because a lot of exchanges, and here the position would be better for black, almost. Why? Because black has his position, which is completely open now, or like it's free for all the pieces, and he's castled. I mean, she's castled, and the bishop is kind of not protected. It's not great for white. It could go really bad. Okay, knight g2 is on the board. Knight ge2, sorry. Okay, why not? She didn't want, so probably she didn't want to go knight f3, probably because of what I showed you, the exchanges, but she was not forced to exchange. After e5, simply castle. Maybe she was bothered by this position, which I can understand. The pawns are hanging. Maybe black is going to play, I don't know, just as an example, knight b6, bishop g4. I mean, not knight b6 because there is a forward, but I don't know, here, there, bishop g4. But here white still has more space, is in control. c5 probably is met with d5 to get a pass pawn. The position is still very, very comfortable for white. So I will ask her why she didn't play knight f3 at the end of the game. To me it seems more logical, but what she played is completely fine. It's just another way of playing the position, which is more slow cook, like slow burn, which I like also. All right, what can we say about the other games? So a lot of Spanish players, obviously. Okay, there are a few. There is two Cuban players, at least from the broadcast. One Ukrainian, Mexico, a lot of Hispanic countries. Adriana from Peru, but living in Spain. If I scroll, it moves the game. Okay. Yeah. And Adriana is 3.5 points in this tournament. So she won the first round against Sofia. She won the second round against Estefania. And she drew the last round against Julia Babak. And now she's facing Estrella González Macias. And she's almost 2000. She's getting closer to 2000. All right. Very, very interesting decision. We can see her opponent playing rook e8. So trying to get the e5 break and reinforced. So rook e8 is soon on the board in a few seconds. Yeah. Was it a good move actually, or e5 was better? Okay, it's quite similar. Quite similar. It's a good move. Nothing to say so far. The position is close to being equal, and I think Adriana will just castle here. I think maybe f4, but that would be very aggressive and very against opening principles. But f4 would short castle would make a lot of sense. Um, yeah, I don't see other moves. I mean, there are other moves possible, but anyways, she will need to castle, so why not do it first? Of course, the computer says that you can play h3, you can play knight g3, but first, short castling is the top engine move, and anyways, you need to do it, so why not do it now? And the rook is facing the king on top of that, so to avoid weak signals, it's preferable to short castle. Let's try to guess what Adriana is looking at. Um, she's looking at the center of the board. She's definitely looking at the pawn break. I can tell. I can tell she's looking at the pawn break. What is she thinking about the pawn break? I'm curious because I have a very different way of playing and I'm just trying to understand. Because I would have taken more time at the beginning, and now with castling I would have done it immediately. Why? Because anyways I need to castle, so I would have played it no questions asked, but at the beginning of the game I would have taken more time if I play knight c3 or knight bd2, or if I prefer knight f3. So that's very interesting that she is taking more time now. I'm really curious. Okay, knight g3. Knight g3 is on the board. Interesting choice that she delays castling, which is possible. She's controlling even more and more time the e4 square. Maybe if e5 castle and there is no e4 because you can just take the pawn. Maybe that's what she was doing. But she could castle and do the same thing on the other way. And of course, she's not afraid of bishop takes knight because that would open the rook for the h file. But also, like, if she castles, she might take back with the f pawn to open the f file. Then okay, that's a very interesting choice. I like that. e5 is still the best way to go for black because black is lacking space. Is crumpled. I think you say cramped. Is cramped. Black is cramped. So therefore needs a pawn break. Every time you're cramped in a chess position, you absolutely need to look for pawn breaks. And sometimes they work better than you expect. And even if they don't work, you should still try because if you just suffocate, you will just die slowly. While if you go for a pawn break, maybe you'll have some chances, counterplay or something else. Maybe you lose a pawn, but you get some activity with your pieces. So that's why pawn breaks should always be looked at carefully if you're lacking space. And here e5 is obviously everything points at e5. The only worry you could have is, yeah, sure, you're opening the bishop scope, but here there is no no perfect solution. I will try to remove the moves and try to think by myself. So e5 is a move, of course. What else? b6 could be a move to develop the light square bishop. Could Adriana prevent her opponent from playing b5? I'm just wondering. Because, like, let's say she tries e4. Doesn't e5... Ah, no, e5 can be met with d5. Um, let's say, I don't know. Let's say her opponent doesn't play e5. e4, threatening a fork. e5, d5. And I like even better white now, don't I? But black has squares to work with. Who is better here? I don't know. It looks complicated though. Okay, her opponent hasn't played yet. And white has a passed pawn also. Whatever happens, maybe mm, maybe bishop a6. I would still go short castle for white, of course, but but it's better for black here. I'm curious why. C takes d, c takes d, a6. Let's say short castle. Knight c5. Ah, there is the c5 square. Sure. Okay, this I get it. And it's true that e4 is a huge target. Let's say knight knight e2. h5. So knight e2 is not good. Because of h5. Amazing move h5. I mean, there are a few moves possible, but h5 is one. Let's say you... I mean, I don't know where I'm going with this knight. So, okay. So bishop c1, because this bishop will never get to that pawn. So yeah, actually I understand now. White is not in a good position. So that happened because of d5. But anyways, black gets the c5 square in all of the cases. And that's because of b takes c. That's interesting. So e4 is not a good move. e4 is a terrible move, apparently. But what if short castle and e5? Isn't it the same? Here you don't take. Because you need to take back with the pawn. Okay, the issue with e4 is that you're not being able to take back with the pawn. So c5 becomes a good square. I understand. So you need to keep e3 and d4 as is. Very interesting. Very instructive also. Very, very instructive. Let's get back to the channel for the... If there are some people commenting, I mean writing in the chat. Villa de Zahara. I don't know where it's on the map. Let's look. Villa de Zahara. Historical landmark. Wow. Oh, it's in the south. It's in the south. Yeah, actually, it's near Sevilla. Makes sense. Wow, there is a beautiful lake nearby. It looks like an amazing place. I would love to go there. Antiguas Cabrerizas Garganta Verde. Wow. A lot of hiking, a lot of castles, I think. There must have been pretty epic fights there. Yeah. It's very close to Gibraltar. Nice. I want to know more about this city after. Okay, so knight j3 kind of froze Estrella. It's going to be a long game, I feel like. They're not going to play impulsively. And we're going to have a long game. So what did we say? We said in the meantime that e4 would never be a good move. So this is not the game, right? No. Wait. I'm going to refresh the page. E5, yeah. E5 is on the board. That's what I thought. Okay. E5 is on the board. I think castling is pretty much forced here. Actually, that's the only move to keep the advantage. I hope Adriana doesn't miss that. And that's why I would probably have short castled before. I mean, she can also take, but same, she's going to activate her opponent's pieces. So it makes more sense to short castle, and sure, you have a hanging pawn on d4, but it's taking space. And her opponent cannot capture it. And by the way, if one piece captured, there is always the tactics bishop takes h7, and the pawn is indirectly protected indirectly protected by the queen. Therefore, short castle should make a lot of sense, putting the king to safety. I wonder what she's thinking about. I don't see any other move. Maybe she is trying to complicate the position by playing, for sure, not the best move, but it's also possible that she plays something else. But short castle should still be the primary option, in my opinion. It's funny, I had never seen this format. 1 hour and 20 minutes both players have. Okay, maybe I know what she's thinking. Maybe she's just obviously going to castle, but trying to think about the intrications, about what will happen next. But in these cases, anyways, she needs to castle. So don't you want to castle and to let your opponent to think on your opponent's time? So first you let your opponent think on his time, on her time, and secondly you you can see server because the moves are going forward. So it's also better, I think, to play your move and to wait for, and also your opponent can play a complete different move from what you expected. So here I would recommend go with castling, no questions asked. But she's looking at other moves, I think. Interesting. I'm curious about what she's considering. Really? Ah, I know. Maybe moving the knight on c3 out of the way to take back with the bishop? But that would be weird because that would also free the opponent's pieces. Maybe knight e2 takes, and I don't know, knight d5, d4. But apparently it's also terrible because of the knight landing on c5. The knight landing on c5 is really, really bad for white. The only way to prevent this is to short castle, because if black takes, you can take back with the pawn, and look at that pawn. It's guarding the knight. It's guarding the bishop going forward. So that's a huge pawn. And that's a very important pawn. And every time there is that, sure, you give away that square, but it's less important, that square, than this one. So you can push. And here 95 is not as bad. By the way, the computer doesn't even want to keep the bishop. It's fine, it says. Just h3, preventing a lot of pieces from landing to that square. And let's say takes. The bishop doesn't have a way to to develop. So actually it's a bad bishop and you're playing with against the bad bishop. Even though black has the bishop pair, white is better because of the space advantage, the pass pawn, and so on and so on. Here I would try to put a knight here if I were black, so maybe move the rook away and the bishop. It's not easy. Maybe that. Oh, that would be bad. Knight b5. Why? Let's say, I don't know, just randomly. Bishop takes fc. Ah, yeah, there is a fork here. So here there is a tactics of just taking queen takes and knight here. That's a fork. So what about first push? Okay, needs to take back with the pawn. And then we just go back. Okay, so here, oh, knight b5 is quite strong here. So what about here? f4. f4. Okay, makes sense also. And what if, I don't know, I'm just trying to play random moves. Let's say we play knight h5. Wow, white is crushing here. Okay, because all the pieces are it's just too slow. Just too slow. You cannot do that. Okay, anyways. Let's get back to the game. e5 is still on the board and Adriana is still weighing whether she wants to castle or not. Wait, it's Adriana's turn? Because I see her looking around. Interesting. She seems a little bit distracted. I have a feeling she won't castle. I don't know why, but if she's taking so much time, it's not a good sign, I think. And I wonder why she doesn't want to castle. Something bothers her. Um, about castling, and I don't know what it is. Probably taking back with the pawn and playing the game with hanging pawns. Probably. But this pawn cannot be easily attacked. It's defended, and maybe she doesn't have a plan in this position, and that's fine, but I would say you can just look at this position and be happy with it, with white. Both bishops are active. You have the center. Your pieces are more active. Everything is better. By the way, it's funny. If the bishop takes, it's better to take with the h pawn, not the f pawn. Why? Not sure why, actually. Not sure why. Maybe because of the e4 square. You can still play f3. I don't know, but interesting. Okay, she finally she short castled. That's good. That's good. That she finally resolves to it. It was a very critical moment. If she didn't castle, she would have been in trouble. So that's good. Oh, it's crazy. One board on one of the boards, board 4, the game is already winning for black. Completely, the bar is completely black. Other games are quite balanced actually. All of them are balanced, except board number 4. Something went wrong. I don't know what, but it's completely winning for black. I'm wondering, maybe white blundered in the opening. Let's quickly have a look. I'm just curious. Wait. Ah, this is the game? No. What? No, it's not. Weird. Okay, the bar was never black. No, it's only better for white. Okay, it was probably a visual bug. Okay, all of the games are balanced except a few. Okay, her opponent played. She took on d4. Makes sense. She's exchanging center pawn for center pawn. She's freeing a little bit her position and able to play it. So Adriana can take back with the pawn. Good. And we reach that position that we were talking about. So far, nothing unexpected. Now the question is, how are they going to develop, to attack, to what are they going to try to do? So we have one file open, e-file. White pieces are more active. White is playing for a small advantage because of more advanced development. The pawns are more in the center. Everything is slightly better. Okay, what can black do? So knight f8 is an option to reshuffle the knight and open the bishop. Even though the bishop doesn't have a good spot yet, but it's a good scope. And maybe knight e6. Maybe knight e6. Of course, white should never push because you're going to give up the c5 square. So it's better to keep it as is. So knight f8. Black needs to wait. Black needs to wait. I don't think black has anything. Or can play for something, you know. So, and same for white. White needs to find small improving moves. No need to rush here. What else? Queen c7 maybe? But queen c7, I don't like. The queen is kind of misplaced a little bit here. But at the same time, I like queen c7 because the knight is pinned now. Every time you move the knight, check, and you lose a pawn. Do you? Well, you lose a pawn, but you win the dark square bishop, so maybe it's worth. Maybe it's worth. Who knows? The pawn is defended. indirectly. You could even play that. Of course, it's not recommended, but here I think even though we are down a pawn and so on and so on, I think I like white. Okay, it's too much because the pawn was important to protect the king. So knight queen c7 is a move. Queen c7 is a move. What else could be a move? I wonder if c5 is a move. No, c5 we said there is d5. And sure, we give up that square, but we also open the bishop. So yeah. Actually, it's not so bad. c5, d5. What about this position? I don't know. I don't like it for black. White has a pass pawn, and that's pretty much a lot. And the space and everything, black doesn't have. It's horrible. So I don't like c5. Now let's look at what the computer says. So knight f8. One option. Rook b8. I didn't think about it. Damn. Rook b8. What's the goal? Let's say the king moves. b5. b5 is on the board. The goal is to go for b5. It's always hard for me to spot these moves. Let's say takes because there are so many pawn moving. Knight, yeah, exactly. It's a sacrifice of a pawn, but bishop takes g3. What the hell? Okay. a6. So you're definitely like it's completely like sacrificing the bishop. It doesn't make sense. Knight d6 and also running into that. Okay. There is a skewer. I missed that. Okay. Nice. Nice. Okay, so b5. The idea of b5 is okay. Sure, you can recapture, but at the end of the day, I'm going to skewer you. So that's why we get rid of the bishop with tempo. And a6, rook here. I guess we take. He takes, and we are two pieces for the rook. And it's the other thing is that we are not well developed, but that's such an interesting and rich position. Amazing. That would be amazing. And to understand that black is better here, wow, good luck. I mean, we have two pieces for the rook, but damn, our knights are not doing well. They are completely underdeveloped. Our bishop is not developed. Queen c1 to attack the rook. Rook b6 going back, you see. Wow. Not easy. But fascinating move. Rook b8. Rook b8. I like because it forces us to think outside of the box. What else? That's super weird because the computer shows twice the line with rook b8. There is knight f8 first move, rook b8 second move, rook b8 third move. I never saw that in my life. And it's exactly the same line. The 2 and 3 are exactly the same. Rook b8, queen c2, knight f8, rook a1, rook takes e1. Yeah, it's exactly the same. Weird. Okay, a6. a6. A6, I know this move. The goal is to go b5, and it's supported by both pawns, so white cannot really prevent it. I think a4 is a move, but knight f8 I wouldn't have said. What if he blocks the dark squares? I don't care. Really? Because I was worried about something like that. Knight g4. Queen h4. Wow. What? Ah, yes, here there is a tactics. Okay, so basically if white tries to after a6 a4 knight f8 a5, trying to block the squares and trying to maybe put a knight there, amazingly enough black has counterplay with knight g4. But what if h3? Ah, there is no, but what if you take with the king? Ah, queen h4 wins. Really? Oh yeah, I missed that. Okay, it's gonna be bad. Wow. Okay, so interesting. Here we dive into tactics that are all related to. Okay, so the knight being here can never be chased because of knight takes f2. If you take back with the rook, there is bishop takes g3. We won a pawn. And if h3 takes and you take back with the king, queen h4 pins the knight, and you cannot defend it because queen f3 is met with queen takes d4, losing the queen and being checkmated. Okay, I don't know if Estrella will find this. So knight g4 is kind of an outpost, we can say. Why? Because it cannot be chased, at least as long as the knight is being there. And if the knight is there, it means that this pawn is hanging. So here, what about f3? We didn't talk about f3. f3 runs simply into knight e3. It's a fork. So knight g4 is a move. Knight g4 is a move. Interesting. You see, at first you think, so she played knight f8, which is also a good move. But knight g4, we thought maybe f3, but f3, knight e3. But among all, there was h3. And h3 runs into knight takes f2. Very nice move. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Mars. Which day are we? Okay, 9. Okay. « 15 février et on est le... Ok. Okay, it's Adriana's turn. Adriana's turn. Now she needs to come up with a plan. Is knight f5 a move? Knight f5. H3 is a move. No, h3. H3. It prevents knight g4. Knight f5. Knight f5 puts a little bit of pressure here. And the knight is not easy to chase away, so I like that move. And it's annoying, knight f5. And of course, if black exchange, you get the control over the light squares. And the position is open. So that would be not good for black, I think so. Actually, it's equal. The best move is to take the knight. Wow. I still struggle for that kind of moves. To me, it looks like you don't want to give your light square bishop for no reason, but apparently here, apparently black is fine. Not easy to understand why. I mean, also easy to understand is that if you don't do it, the knight will be there forever. You don't have a good way to chase it because G6 is very, very weakening, and you don't want that. You absolutely don't want to play G6, especially with a bishop eyeing these squares. Therefore, maybe bishop takes f5 makes sense, but okay. I would prefer to avoid bishop takes f5 if possible, if it was myself. Let's see how Estrella reacts to knight f5. It's not an easy move to react to. Like, she is wondering, maybe do I continue with knight g6? There are always the same ideas when a knight lands here, just like the knight there on g4. There is always, by the way, Adriana also left the defense of h2, so maybe queen c7 is a move, by the way, which comes with tempo. But what I wanted to point out is, let's say I'm just playing random moves just to illustrate. I don't know. Maybe not here. Let's say here. At some point, white can threaten to take with the same idea. Here black is obliged to take, and maybe something like that. The knight is pinned, and the knight is attacked, and it's not easy to defend. Okay, so here obviously it doesn't work, but there are some cases where it can work, or you just weaken the king. For instance, if there was not the bishop here, the and the knight was not here. Okay, a lot of conditions. The king moves, and you are able to take back the piece with checkmate. So maybe that's an idea for later on, at least the tactics that could work much later on. But she's putting a little bit of pressure, and also I forgot to say, the bishop was attacked, and unlike this bishop can be very valuable. So she decided to not give away the light square bishop. The thing here is, if you don't, actually now I think about it, let's say look at the computer was saying, if you don't give it anyways, this knight is here to stay, and it's going to be very annoying. The only way to get rid of it could be, I was thinking knight, bishop d7 and queen c8, but the issue is there is queen c2 trying to maintain the knight. So yeah, actually queen c2 even now is good, because you're reinforcing the knight, and now the bishop, yeah. So here, can really Estrella win that pawn? So no, because it's defended by the knight. But even queen c2 apparently is fine, even though this, because the pawn is not hanging, because of what actually? Because of the discoveries, I guess. No, knight e4. Knight e4, yes, and the pawn are going to be doubled here. So queen c2 is a nice move because of knight e4. The pawn is not indirectly defended, but whatever happens, queen d8, knight takes, or even bishop takes, pawn takes, and queen e2 trying to infiltrate and attack. And even though white is down a pawn, of course the king's safety is compromised. So here white is almost, he's on the cusp of winning. Do we say cusp of? I need to check that word. I just said it. Cusp. Yeah, it works. Figurative. Threshold. Point between. Okay. So it works. On the cusp of something. Yeah. Actually, it works. I didn't know I knew that word. I'm just getting words out without even knowing. Cool. So bishop c7. So queen c2 is a move. Queen c2 is a move. These are the kind of moves you need to think about, even though they look like they lose something. So we said queen c2. If bishop takes f5, queen takes d4, and knight e4, great move. We are going to annotate it. We cannot annotate. Fine. So queen c2 is tricky. I love it. But otherwise, I don't see how white can make progress here. We need to play slow moves. Rook b1 is one of the moves, putting pressure on the b7 pawn, and maybe looking for bishop a1. Otherwise, I don't see an improvement. Rook e1 is possible, but you would have to take back with the queen. And then I think bishop takes f5, queen takes d4 is possible, because the bishop on b2 is not protected. I'm giving you the line. Takes. Yeah. Queen takes d4. And this is not possible. The difference is because the queen can eat the bishop. Unlike if the queen is here, it defends the bishop. So knight e4 is possible. Will she find that? Yes, it's definitely in her possibilities. I'm just eating a little bit. I'm hungry. So that's why taking a short breakfast break. Okay, I'm back. The sound is a little bit high. I think Adriana is about to play. We can see she has the finger near her hands, near her mouth, and now she's like, I don't know. She puts them back on the table, and she is thinking again. She was about to play a move. If I had to guess, she was about to play on the king side, something on the king side. She looks like she's okay. She's going back into thinking. I love these classical games. You can take your time to think. You can try to tell yourself a story. It's amazing. I love the state of mind, and she plays knight e2. Knight e2 is on the board. The idea is first to defend the pawn more. Secondly, to the bishop can also defend the pawn, but have a scope. And maybe go knight g3. I really like the move, even though the computer doesn't like it. It's really hard to tell why. Um, maybe because of that square. But still, I like the move. What's the issue with it? I don't get it. I don't really get it. So knight g6, rook b8. So, even though it's not a good move according to the computer, I think it's still a really good move. Because black, okay, sure, can take advantage of it by playing all of the moves. Apparently everything is slightly better for black now, but still, it's the computer. It's a little bit misleading. F4 is a good square. Just like white puts knight on f5, black can put a knight here, and it's annoying. And now that it chases it away. Wow. Oh damn, the knight. Okay. h5. h4. The goal of the rook going there is not so much to activate the rook, but to give a square to the knight, I guess. Knight gf1. And apparently here black is cooking. Black is cooking, especially... Ooh, the rook is trapped. Is it? Yeah, it is. Wow. No, super hard. No way that black finds all of this sequence. I mean, it's not a forced sequence, but wow, it's complicated. Okay, I expect knight g6 anyways. Because her knight is not playing. There is no real threat from white here. So knight g6, knight f4 is a thing. I mean, at least knight g6 as long as the knight is on e2. And knight f4 only if the knight moves. Okay, now I ate a little bit. I feel better. Um, And both players are a little bit tired. I could see Adriana yawn. She's a little bit tired, maybe. I love their boards, it's a beautiful one. And also the pieces are magnificent. Probably all of the retransmitted games are played on boards like that. And the last move from Estrella is knight g6, most likely from what I saw. So the storm is up to come. There is going to be a storm, but it's not yet there. Not there yet. But all of the pieces are gearing up for the storm. I hope we'll see a storm. Apparently now the position is better for black, but wow, it's so hard to understand. I mean, it's a computer. There are still a lot of things to see. That's why I like knight e2, bringing the knight to the king side. And anyways, the knight was not doing anything. So to me, it makes a lot of sense. Knight e2 I like. And knight g3 is knight eg3 is not good because you let the knight land on f4. So I would keep the knight on e2 for now, and play queen c2 maybe to improve the queen and connect the rooks. What else? She can move the rooks here and there. Queen c2 is on the board. Nice. It's a great move. Very, very good move. Improving move, connects the rooks. I love it. Perfect. So far, so good. I really like this move. And it's also aiming at h7. So she's putting even more pressure on the opponent's king. And you know what? Like, what's your plan now? If you play knight f4, I will exchange the knights. And now I will have a knight on f5 and your knight is on f6. So it's hard to play for black, even though the computer says it's better for black. But after one move, which is almost impossible to find, I dare you to find the move for black which makes the position slightly better for black. It's practically impossible to find. practically impossible. Not probably a titled player would think about it, but wow, it's hard. It doesn't make sense in so many reasons. For so many reasons. Should I tell you which move allows black to be slightly better? It's a hard one. b5. b5 takes, and here apparently taking is not good. Bishop takes h2. Okay. Knight g4 check. Okay. Bishop takes f5. And if you recapture with the queen, good luck after queen h4. Please, what? You didn't see that? It was obvious. So here, after bishop takes f5, the only move is queen c3 to be able to go to h3. Queen h4 is mate with queen h3. So that's why black can gain back the pawn with bishop takes h2. No, but it's insane. And what's the point of b5 is that the bishop is overloaded because it's keeping the knight. So you need to have this idea of like you cannot recapture the pawn, because if you do, I have bishop takes h2, king takes h2, knight g4 check, and if you go back, I take here, and you cannot take because queen h4, and you also need to calculate what happens after king here. It's pretty much the same. Queen h4 check. Okay, here the king is just running, so obviously we know that it's going to end badly in checkmate. But wow, that's a hell of a move. b5, b5, a hell of a move. Now, at least now we saw it. It will be instructive. We can remember it. b5. If b5 is on the board, I stop playing chess. I swear. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but I doubt that b5 will be on the board. That would be crazy, especially with the variation I just showed you. So the goal of b5, remember, is to distract this bishop, keeping that knight, and that would run basically in a Greek gift sacrifice for black. It's insane. It's insane. I love chess. And that's why I'm not going to quit, because she won't find it. It's too insane to be found, I think. Insane. I wonder, I will give this position to a GM and ask him, what do you think about this position? What would you play for black, as black? And if he or she doesn't find, I will ask, please calculate b5. And there, for sure, they find. But I wonder if a GM can find b5. Maybe, actually, it's probably very easy for him. I mean, once you see it, it seems obvious. So a GM can... I would just wonder in how much time. Do they find in 1 minute? Do they find in 5 minutes? In 10 seconds, maybe? I would never find b5. But now I saw it. The good thing is I will think about it next time. I will think about it. And for sure, if black plays b5, no questions asked. You just take. You get to that position. Okay, maybe you see that it's dangerous, but I would say in most cases you just take, because also the rook is threatened, and you're like, what could happen bad? Knight g4 first. King g1 and bishop takes f5. But here you could think, okay, but the rook is still hanging. But rook c8. Rook c8. Let's say queen g3, I guess. No, not even. Queen g3 loses. Rook c2. Wow. So if takes, queen takes e8. You're not in a hurry. Because you win 2 pieces for for the rook. Okay, and all of these pieces are super active. Okay. Interesting. Okay, the other move is bishop takes f5, by the way. Like getting rid of the knights. And queen e7. Queen e7, really? Yeah, actually. Yeah. Okay, rook a d8. The knight is pinned, right? Because the rook is hanging. Rook, let's say, and what about queen? Queen here. Queen d6 now. We need to get the queen out of the way. Oh, nice. Okay. Wow. Wonderful. Actually, the bishop here is not playing now. Wow. Wow. If your opponent finds b5 in this position, you can call the arbiter and check. Ask the arbiter, the referee, to check him, to check your opponent if he doesn't have a cell phone or device on him or on her. b5 is fascinating. I'm so curious um about players finding d5 in a game. b5. Yeah. What did she play? No, I think she played knight f4. Knight f4, yeah. Knight f4 is not great. Because anyways, the knight on e2 from Adriana was not doing well. It was just waiting. So she's spoiling her square. Adriana is happy to trade here. Happy to trade. And kind of forced to trade. You don't want to. Also, it's a fork. Otherwise, you would lose the light square bishop. So she's gonna take. Yeah, okay, Adriana took. No surprise here. She took the knight. And we can see immediately the bishop taking back. And now Adriana is better. Let's try to understand why. So Adriana's knight was not doing anything, while this knight had potential to go there. So Adriana was a little bit stuck on how to improve, I guess black as well. But for instance, h5, well, h5 is a hard move to play, huh? Because you're weakening, and then I don't know, like h4, h4 works. What? This is winning for black. Insane. Completely winning. Because of the bishop pair and the light squares. Wow, wow, wow. Actually, yeah, white doesn't have anything now. Bishop takes, takes. Ah, we lost a piece. Oh my god. Oh my god, what did I do? Ah, yeah, so first. Ah, okay. Ah, yes, yes, okay. Attacking the defender. The knight has no squares. Okay, okay, okay. So, h5 is a hell of a move here. Okay, hard move, hard move. So, my point is, black was a little bit lacking of ideas, and that's why she went with the knight on f4 and probably told herself, okay, well, like if I trade more pieces, I have less space. If I trade pieces, I can't be worse. Well, actually, it's not that simple. The knight of Adriana was not doing anything, and her knight was had good prospects. So she just traded a very good piece for a bad piece. Oh. Um, Therefore, now Adriana is in the driver's seat, and that's pretty much it. She's going to cook here easily, easy cooking. Okay. So, what can Adriana do? That's the question. Now, how can she use her advantage? What do you think? How can she use her advantage for the best? And she just played rook d1. Very simple move, but I love it. I love it. Why? Because simple move, but putting the rook facing the queen, so good for tactics. And she's not trading this rook also. I like it. I like it. She's cooking. I like now. I love Adriana's position now. Her opponent's rating is 1704. Okay. She's playing well. Very well so far. Oh, and they are already under 30 minutes for each player. So we are already more than half of their time is gone. By the way, I haven't looked, but what about the increments? I'm not sure about the increments. Um, how can I look at this? Um, no, it's not gonna work well if I do that. So I will look after. Okay. I will look after. Or I can just guess when they play their move. So on the next move, I will look at by how much the time is going up, but I don't expect 30 seconds. If there was 1 hour 20, I don't expect it to be 30 seconds of increments. I expect it to be less, maybe 10, maybe 15. Okay, sheep is playing. I'm looking at the time. I think there is no increment. Is that possible? Hmm. It's funny, all the games are quite balanced on the other boards. Ah, but there are only the first four boards which seem to be playing. Okay, I don't know why. Hmm. Okay. Let's talk about bishop e6. Bishop e6 is a move. So she really doesn't want to give her bishop away. This we can tell. How does Adriana improve her position? Apparently the computer wants g3. The goal of g3 is queen c7 can come at any time, so we can play g3. Also, it weakens the light squares around the king, but black cannot exploit them. I would have never played g3, by the way. At least not until today. The best move is bishop d6. Bishop d6. Not bishop c7, but bishop d6, giving the dark square bishop. Because black is desperately looking for something. If you go bishop c7, h4. The goal of g3 was to launch h4. And what about if black does nothing? d5 now. d5? Really? Wait, d5? Ah, to open the bishop. So what? Let's say takes. Bishop takes f6. Takes. Ah, the bishop is not protected. Okay. Ah, so d5. d5 is a good move. Wow, it's great. It's a great move. Wait, what if takes and takes? Queen c1. Okay, here you're just happy. You're just going to crush. Wow. Cool. That's so cool. Just in the small details. So d5 is a move. After g3, h4. But do we need g3, h4? Can't we play d5 now? What's the difference? Takes. Ah, yeah, because the thing was that the bishop was hanging. So that's why g3 almost forces the bishop to d6 and not c7 because of... I wonder why h4. Can't we play d5 now? Ah, there is bishop takes. And not... Ah, no. Okay. So not necessary h4, but better. Cool. So g3 is a great move. Will she find g3? I don't know. Oh, actually, it's on the board, I think. She played g3. Great move. Very, very good move. Nice. That's why Adriana is such a strong player. g3. I bet you she's going... I bet you she's going to play bishop c7. And as I say it, yeah, it's really hard to play bishop d6, I must say. I wonder if a stronger player would play bishop d6, no questions asked. Like, it's obvious for him, for a title player. Wow, my internet is so much better than before. I think for streaming it's perfect. Wow, the difference is amazing. Nice. I think I'm going to stream again. The only thing is my computer is burning. Literally burning, so I don't know why. I'll try to close some programs. What's happening? The fans are fanning. I don't know what's happening. Windows server. Windows server? What is Windows server? I don't know what this is. But it's taking a lot. Wait, I need to check something. Hmm. Okay, apparently it's something important. Wow. Okay, I'll reboot the computer after the stream. Anyways. Um anyways, CPU. Okay. What to do? It's even though like okay, d5 is the move. Sorry, it's not the move now. Why d5 is actually not working here? It's a hard move. I doubt that she will find it. It's also a move. I doubt she will find it. It's always hard to find moves where squares are protected more than once, more than like you push pawns to squares where they can be taken. Basically, it's a sacrifice. But it either works tactically or you get something for it. For instance, here you open the bishop, and there is also that, there is that, there is this, there is that. So, and you need to calculate all the consequences of this move. It's a hard move, but she can find it. H4 is also fine. H4, the only drawback is that there is knight g4, but obviously it doesn't work. It just makes things worse for black. So, um, I wonder how she's going to continue, because if she doesn't find h4 or d5, she can play it slow. Rook fe1. a4 is also a move to take more space. Queen c1. Queen c1, I doubt she will play that. It's a little bit odd, but apparently still good. And queen d2 also good. Well, it's much harder to play queen. Queen d2 or queen c1. The idea is to go to queen g5, I guess. Okay. My computer is much calmer now. Much more calm. Nice, Adriana. Very nice. She finds d5. Very proud of you. Wow, and she gets up. And I think her opponent didn't expect d5. What a nice move, opening the bishop. All these. She saw that if she takes, I mean take, she cannot. She can't take with the bishop because bishop takes, and the queen is overloaded. Very, very, very nice. Love that. I love that. Very good. I love that. I think the game is going to go crazy now. I mean, crazy in a good way. Like, it's going to be very sharp, a lot of tactics. It's going to be nice now. Okay. Our opponent is in trouble. I think she only has bad decisions. And the evaluation starts to go a little bit crazy. Like c takes d5 is the best move, but still a good advantage for white. Bishop takes f5 is the best move, is the second best move, but she will never play that because she didn't want to give away her bishop until now, so she will never play that. Bishop c8 is already losing, so the only move here is to take. First, the only move to stay in the game with bishop takes f5, but she will absolutely never play bishop takes f5. Absolutely never. So I expect her to take the pawn. That's the first thing. And also d5 makes sense because it opens, let's say there is something like this and that. Okay, knight takes g7 is just crushing, but also like the knight is aligned with the queen. Everything is crushing here. White is completely winning. Okay, I think I don't see how black defends this position. It's horrible unless Adriana messes up. I think white will win very, very quickly. I think so. Okay, she took the pawn. Adriana takes back. It's going to be the game soon. Okay, takes. Okay, and right now she's on the right path, but the only move here, the only move which doesn't lose, is bishop takes f5. That's the only move. I don't think she will do it. Oh, well, actually, maybe now she will do it because she needs to reduce the attack. Yes, exactly. Okay, she does it. Because otherwise everything is crushing. She's going with the forced moves. Bishop takes, bishop takes. But still, right now, Adriana is threatening bishop takes f6. She found this. Okay, bishop e5. Nice. That's a nice move. Apparently d6 here is the best. So d6, of course, black cannot take because of various variations, starting with bishop takes f6 or queen b1. What is that? What is queen b1? I don't know, but queen b1 is a move here. I don't know what it does. I thought we had to attack the bishop because it was pinned, but apparently it's not so hard to defend. But okay, d6 is the best move. It's hard. Apparently the bishop can take, and what if here bishop takes a3? You sacrifice the queen, and apparently it's fine. Rook d1, trading at least one rook. Bishop f8, and apparently here, to me it looks terrible for black, but okay. Really? Black has a kind of fortress here. And if you take, I take. And how are you going to win with white? Actually, it's not easy. You need a passed pawn. Otherwise, black just shuffles the rook. And here it's kind of a fortress. You cannot do anything. Wow. Fascinating. Okay, anyways, we are not here. Will Adriana just take or play d6? I think she will play something like what? Actually, it's not easy. You have an advantage, but it's easy to mess, especially if she messes up her pass pawn. Black will have a 2-on-1, a 2-on-1 on the queen side, so it could also play for a win if Adriana doesn't manage to do something with that passed pawn. Yeah. But okay, black is far from threatening to capture it because threatening to capture it will run into some bishop move, and then the knight would be pinned. So here, I think Adriana can even play rook f1. No, it's not a good move. It's a terrible move because of that, this, and that. Of course. Therefore, what else can she play? d5 is complicated. Okay, here, maybe push now. Yeah, okay, much easier. So just take, and push. That's probably what she's going to go for. Let's refresh the page. I think she took the bishop. No, she didn't take the bishop. Wait. She pushed. She pushed immediately. That's also good. Slightly more complicated, I think, but will Estrella risk to pin herself by playing bishop takes d6? I don't think so. And you need to evaluate the position after bishop takes bishop a3, which is apparently fine for black, but oh my god, this position you need to evaluate. Rook d1. The rook doesn't have many moves, so here the only move is trading. Or bishop f8. Okay, it's easy to play for white. Easy. So the only chance for black is to go for bishop takes d6 and bishop takes a3. Oh, thank you for the follow. But no way, no way she's going to go for that. So I don't think um, she will take the pawn. She will take the pawn. And if she doesn't take the pawn, Adriana is completely winning. Queen takes b2. Yeah, okay, it's almost the same variation as we said before. So bishop takes b2, queen takes b2, and the pawn is too strong. Maybe knight d7 to block the pawn, but okay, it's not going to end well. Maybe queen c7, maybe. Actually, queen c7 would be a great move, yeah. And then if queen takes, pawn takes, and then the pawn is just gonna roll. Roll, little pawn. Ah, the queen is on b2. Okay, the queen is on b2, you take b2. But if, I don't know, rook here, d7, okay. Just crushing. Crushing, the only move is... there is no only move. Rook here, queen d4, and here, okay, there are just too many tactics. Everything is falling apart. The pawn is too strong. You're defending it well. A6, rook d3, you just want to double or even go there, I don't know. G6, you wants to give up the, but let's say you wait. Queen f4, okay, everything works. You cannot take because if takes rook f d1, yeah, you just, okay, it's crushing. Okay. I think it's going to end soon. I don't think they will go until checkmate, but I think my guess is that Adriana's passed pawn is going to be the winner, and just Australia is going to resign because at some point the pawn will be too strong. I mean, I'm a little bit counting the chicken before they've hatched, but seriously, like the position can still be messed up, of course, but I really doubt that Australia will eat the pawn on d6, and that's what I thought. It's really hard. It's impossible almost to see that it's your only chance to survive, to take the pawn and sacrifice your queen for two pieces, which actually makes sense because it's 1 plus 8 points, the rook and the bishop, so it's 9 points for a queen. It makes sense. But I think in chess we have a hard time to give up the queen because we learn way too much that it's too valuable. And she just plays automatic moves, but okay, it just makes the position where she's just creating more holes and not responding to the pass pawn, and the position is completely lost. D7 is crushing. Attacking the rook. Rook e7. And here there are many moves you don't even need to think about, how you're gonna win. Like, you can even play that. Okay, no, I exaggerated, but rook d6. What happens if knight takes? Yeah, you just double. Ah, yeah. Okay. D7, and then the queen is behind. There are pins. There is everything. Everything is crushing. I expect Adriana to win this quickly. No pressure. No pressure at all. D7. It's always easier when you sit back. And when you sit behind the computer, because you see the moves, it seems obvious, everything is winning. When you're at the chessboard, it's not the same story at all, because you don't know what's good, what's bad. You have an idea because you play chess, you experience, you learn, but it's completely different from sitting. here. What she will do, I think she will push to d7, right? Yes, yes, yes. Could see her hand. It's funny, I have such a different way of playing. I never do these kind of things, or almost never. But a lot of players that take their hands and they're like, their hands is over the board and just hesitating. And it's quite rare for me. Actually, I do it a few times in a game, but very rarely. Most of the time, I just decide on my move, and once I decided, I just. Oh wow, Rook f8. Rook f8. I didn't expect that, but now it looks even worse. Okay, the key square I think to go to is that square. So Rook c1, no? Not Rook c1. So maybe a Rook lift first. Rook lifts. Okay, there is still some work needed. The queen is trapped here. Isn't it that funny? Isn't it funny? Nice. Okay, like just still some work, I guess. b6 here. Oh, I need to take a break. I will come back in 5 minutes. All right. Sorry, I had an urgency, but as expected, black resigned. So let's look at the position once more. Black resigned. It's weird. It's like written that it's the last move, but wait. But it also says the time is running, so I guess black resigned in this position or a few minutes later. Let's try to see. We don't have the camera, but yeah. Okay. Adriana will join now in a few minutes. Okay. So give me 1 sec. She will join in 1 minute. Here. Wait, what's happening? Why? Ah, yes. Okay.
No, rápido. Un segundo, voy a unirme un rato al directo. Hello.
Hello. Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Ah, yes. Now you can hear me.
Sorry. Now I can hear you.
Yes, okay, perfect. How are you?
Good.
So there, strangely enough, there is a little bit of delay about the end, like it's only appearing now, but yes. How did you
The
feel?
game was a little bit tough. I didn't know what was going on. I wasn't sure that I was making the right moves.
Ah, nice. I'm curious. I have many questions for you. I'm curious where you were not sure and where you felt like you had to do something different.
Can you show me the board?
Right now it's on the stream, yeah.
Oh, so I joined
Actually,
the
it's
stream.
hiding your face.
Wait a second. Am I live?
Yes.
Okay. So she didn't see at the end the d8.
She didn't see the rook d8, yeah.
Yeah, the pawn. Because when she played d6 and I promoted, she was like shocked. Okay. So I have to join to the stream.
Like it was a very good game and weird game at the same time. Like I don't know so much these kind of positions, but I think you played very logical moves. There is one move you took time to play, like short castle. I'm curious what you were looking at before instead of short castle.
Was my knight already on g3?
Yes.
So I was thinking about doing e4.
e4.
Yeah.
Okay, so e4 was really really bad.
Okay.
Why?
Great.
Because you give up, like she can take, and you give up the c5 square and the e5
Okay.
square as well. So the important
Okay.
thing in this position that I learned from the analysis is that you should keep always your pawn on e3, so you can always recapture with a pawn on d4. So no
Yeah,
knight.
that's what I like
Mm,
deduced at the end.
exactly, it was perfect. It was
Um.
perfect.
Anyways, the streaming is going low because the Wi-Fi is really bad here. So you can just tell me. I remember all the game.
Okay. So that was my first question. What you were looking at? So you were looking at e3, e4.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Then your position is good. Like you have a space advantage, everything. Knight f5 is fine. Bishop c7. Knight e2. So knight e2, the computer doesn't like it, but I think it's very logical move.
Yeah, I also thought like for some minutes for that move because I wasn't sure about what to do.
Exactly, it's not easy. Like the computer wanted queen c2, just improving the queen. Or
I
rook.
thought about too.
Mhm.
I thought about Queen C2, but I just didn't want to have any problem with my D4 pawn anymore. So
So yeah, queen c2 is very tricky. You don't have a problem with the d4 pawn because queen c2, let's say bishop takes f5, bishop takes f5, and
yeah,
then queen takes d4, right? Like the pawn is
yeah,
hanging, but
yes.
knight e4, discovery attack on the queen. Your bishop on b2 attacks the queen on d4,
Mm,
and knight
okay,
e4 attacks the knight on f6. So you're going to double the pawns on the king side.
okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I follow you. Yeah,
So even though you're down a pawn, you're going to have a great attack. Like it's perfectly winning for white.
that makes sense. And the D5 I made was good.
The d5 was good, yeah. The Gumbier,
Okay,
it was not in the top moves, but he wanted to play it anyways. Like at some point, he wanted first to yeah. It was a great move. It was the winning move almost. Like you could
okay.
have played many other moves, but at some point d5 would have to be played.
But in the moment, was it good or wasn't that good?
No, it was good. Like somewhat. So g3 was perfect. It was the best move. And bishop c7, believe it or not, is a mistake.
Bishop what?
Bishop, when you play g3,
Yeah.
the best move for her is bishop d6.
Yes, because then the bishop on C7 is hanging. That's
E-
why D5 works.
exactly, yes. Precisely. Very good. So, yeah,
Yeah, but
bishop.
I think about D5 when I played G3. It just came up.
Nice. Very nice. Good calculation. So d5, yeah, it's yeah, somewhat. Ah, no, now it's, yeah, it's the best move. It's the best move. It's the best move. So it was really good. And
Oh,
practically from, yeah,
Rook C1 was a blunder
rook c1.
on the move 25 because she has knight takes Rook D1 and then Queen F6 and my Queen on B2 is
Oh, rook c1 is a blunder. Yeah, I was not here, but rook c1 is a blunder
I
because
played
knight takes d7. Yeah. Oh wow.
yeah Rook F2 to E1 was way more accurate.
And queen f6. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but till that moment, my game was perfect.
Yeah, your game was really good.
And
The only thing is
amazing.
rook c1. Yeah, it was a little bit
Yeah, same.
too much relying on the pin, but it was she had queen f6, which was a very nice move.
Yeah. Thanks God she didn't notice.
Yeah, she played a little bit too fast, I think. Rook
Me
fe1.
too, because I think we both were panicking because it's 80 plus 10. So everybody's running out of time all the time.
Yeah, it's 10 seconds increment.
Yeah, it's like so
Yeah.
short.
And then it's just winning. Like the past one is way too strong. Rook.
Yeah. After
Yes. And why? So she was shocked that you were promoting?
I think she missed it.
Ah, because of. Okay, because of. Yeah, but okay, because of the rook takes back and she has to give up the queen and then the knight is hanging as well. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. No, it was a
Well,
nice game.
thank you.
Yeah. Do you have any questions or things?
No, was it good
Yeah,
for
it
you?
was fun. Yeah. I just had to eat because I didn't have a breakfast and to go away towards the end, but besides that it was perfect.
Perfect. So I'll just go to prep a little bit for the next round. Thank you very much, Ollie.
Thank you, Adriana. See you and good luck for the
Bye.
next round. You're rocking it. Don't forget.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye bye. See you. Cool. So that was it for today. And I will just do that. Oh, OBH. Okay. That was it for today. And that's it. So good luck to Adriana for the next round. She is now 4.5 out of no 4.5 out of 5, and good luck to her for the next for the fifth round. So she's 3.5 out of 4. I'm so confused. Good luck. See you.